Hi, this is Cindy Scott, and this is my TPACK and SAMR in Action presentation. Technology is becoming more and more important in the classroom and a definite part of today's students' world. However, oftentimes technology is used just for technology's sake and not for the sake of increasing the learning or the rigor of that learning. If we want our students to become true 21st century learners, we need to be certain that the technology that is incorporated into the classroom is giving the students learning experiences that would have been impossible without the technology. There are two framework models that can help to integrate technology into our lessons and ensure that the technology is increasing learning and critical thinking. The two models are the SAMR model and the TPACK model. Let's look at the SAMR model first. The SAMR model is a model of technology integration that was designed by Dr. Ruben Puentedura. SAMR is an acronym that stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. The first level, substitution, is where technology is substituted for a non-technological task, such as reading an e-book instead of a textbook. The task is basically the same, it's just done with technology. This stage has been referred to as digitizing worksheets. The second level is augmentation, where the task is enhanced slightly with technology, but the learning is basically the same. For example, students could use the internet to research a topic as opposed to relying on their teacher for input. The third level is modification, where the task is redesigned and encourages analysis. For example, students could collaborate on shared documents here. The fourth level is redefinition. This is where the task is totally redefined and would have been impossible had it not been for the technology. An example of this would be students using Google Earth to create a narrated guided tour of a location which they could then share online with other students. The first two levels come under the category of enhancement, and the last two levels come under the category of transformation. Another example of the SAMR model for journal writing would be to have a student typing journal entries in the substitution level. The task and the work are the same. The work is just done on technology. In the augmentation level, a student would use assisted technology to assist in the writing. A modification level task would be that the student would be doing journal writing on a blog. And the redefinition level would have the student create a video to explain their thinking. It's been said that redefinition is the holy grail. If you get there, you're providing learning that could not have happened a decade ago. The next framework that we're going to talk about is the TPACK model. It integrates technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge. The content knowledge is what you are going to teach to your students. The pedagogical knowledge is how you're going to teach these skills to your students. And the technological knowledge involves knowing what technological tools are available for the classroom and which ones would be the most appropriate. The overlap of content and pedagogy would focus on understanding the best practices for teaching the content to your students. The overlap between the technology portion and the pedagogy portion would focus on understanding how to use the digital tools to enhance the learning outcomes. And the overlap between technology and content would focus on knowing how the digital tools available to you would enhance the learning in the student. There's an even more important overlap, and that's where all three sections overlap. Effective teachers need to consider the overlap of the content, technology, and pedagogy sections, and this has been called the sweet spot. When we understand the framework of TPACK, we can integrate technology into the content and the pedagogy of our classrooms, and this integration will help our students learn more effectively. Both of the framework models can help and guide us as we integrate technology into our lessons. Both models have great value to them. The TPACK model focuses more on the knowledge required to meaningfully integrate technology, and the SAMR model focuses more on what that meaningful technology integration looks like. The SAMR model is very easy to understand. The graphics associated with the model are easy to follow, and there are many examples of technology integration at each level that can be found online. The SAMR model focuses on what meaningful technology integration really should look like, and the TPACK framework does not address that. It's simply, the TPACK model simply outlines what teachers need to know in order to understand how to integrate technology. If we were going to use the TPACK framework in the classroom, of course we would start with our backwards design and figure out which outcomes, learning outcomes and standards we want to cover. And then we would go to the pedagogy side and figure out what activities we would use to cover those outcomes. After we do those two things, then we would try to determine what technology could be used to best support the learning of those outcomes. No matter which one is chosen, we would be wise instructional designers to use these two as we are integrating technology into our classrooms. Thank you for listening.